as much as I wanted to talk more, like share tools that have helped me, I just wasn't in a place where it sounded like something I wanted to do. But the idea occurred to me again the other day, and I thought, oh, I think I would like to do that now. So here we are. I want to say up top, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a medical professional, of course. Little half-face weirdo over here, nothing more. If you are interested at all in hearing more about my direct experience, I have a video on my Patreon where I get into it a little bit more. But for this video, I'm just going to be focusing on some mental health tools that I've picked up that work for me. Please feel free to take only what helps and leave what doesn't. Please disregard anything you want to disregard. Okay, so starting very broadly in terms of my mental health hygiene, 3 things I do daily or weekly that are just good for general maintenance are 1, journaling. I journal every week. It moves out so many negative emotions, like flushes them out for me. I personally do it longhand, not with my hair. I do it longhand, which I feel like helps me access a certain amount of flow and helps me feel like I'm truly moving thoughts out, processing things, documenting the things that are good as well, things I'm grateful for. But the way it's most helpful in terms of this video is like an emotional flush that I have not been able to access in any other way. The second thing is meditation. Every day when I'm really struggling, it's like, even if it's a minute or it's just 5 minutes, every day just sitting in silence and trying to focus on my breath, my attention will waver, will move. My attention will be drawn elsewhere. I bring it back. Just focusing on your breath. You know what meditation is. That helps me a ton. And then the third thing is exercise. It doesn't matter what kind of exercise. Stretching counts, walking counts. It doesn't have to be a chore. But for me, moving my body has always been really helpful. Not only at doing a similar sort of emotional flush, it does like an energetic flush for me. Like journaling does more of a flush of like thought-based emotion, and exercise is this list of 7 questions that really helped me find ways to break that suction cup a bit. And sometimes, that didn't solve everything, but it made things slightly more manageable. Slightly more manageable. So I'll share it here with you in case it's helpful to you. I'll go through them all and then I will elaborate. Did you exercise? Did you shower? Did you dress? Did you eat? Did you go out? Did you play music? Did you talk to someone? So, maybe that sounds like checklisty and like, okay, if I were feeling better, I would do those things, sure, like whatever. But I mean these questions in the most low bar way. Did you exercise? That doesn't mean like, did you go to the gym? Did you go on a run? That means like, literally, I would count if I walked around the block. I would count if I sat on the floor and stretched for like 5 minutes. Exercise. Great. Second, did you shower? Showering for me is something that I enjoy, so that's part of why it's on here. I know some people don't love showering, but it always kind of brings me back into my body in a way that I have felt helpful, and it also feels like a very easy, for me, a very easy like start of some physical expression or act of self-care. Shower. 3, did you dress? This doesn't mean did you put on a suit? Did you put on your best sweater and slacks? No, it could be as little as did you change sweatpants? Go change your underwear. Did you change shirts? Like just put on anything different. Anything clean, anything different. That counts. 4 is did you eat? This one, the bar is a little less low. Any food is good, obviously, if you haven't eaten it at all. But what would make me feel better was something healthy. It didn't have to be a full meal, but like an apple, a slice of bread with butter. Simple, but like healthy and filling in terms of the bread and butter, for example. Pasta, something that isn't just snacking, standing up, because that would never fill me up. So did I eat? Again, didn't have to be a meal or anything, but did I eat? Okay. Did you go out? Did you go outside? Again, this is not making a social engagement, like plans with friends. This is just leaving your front door. That's it. Looking at the sky, looking at the sun, looking at the clouds, looking at the rain, whatever. Just put your body outside for a few minutes at least. 6, did you play music? I love music. I always forget to play it, and it always makes me feel better, even when it's sad. So it was really just a reminder to me to like play music, to seek out some easy access art and change my mood, not to fix it even, but to like inform it or to like change the mood of the room. Made me feel something other than stasis and stagnation, again, to like break the suction cup. And 7 is, did you talk to someone? Did you talk to someone? Did you talk to someone? Yes, ideally, therapist, friend. We love that. Also, low bar. What counts for me would be like if I went outside. I was like, I went outside. I changed my sweatpants. I went outside. I went to the kiosk. I went to the corner store. I bought an apple or a watermelon or a loaf of bread, and I said thank you to the cashier. I said gracias to the cashier. That counts. Like just any interaction with a human, ideally in person, positive exchanges works. These 7 things, again, did not like fix my depression at all, but they kept me from sinking further into it, I think, or from really like, it kept me from negative self-talk, and it made me feel like I wasn't totally helpless, and that was worth a lot to me. So I don't know if that will help you, but there you have it, if it might. In looking these questions up for this video, because I haven't had to use them in a while, I found a note from that time, and I was like, oh, that period was way darker than I remember. Like, the note is much longer, and it's just reminders of how to shake myself loose, you know? But anyway, these questions, I hope, are helpful to someone. Moving on now to anxiety. So in the video on my Patreon, I talk a little bit about my anxiety, which came about surprisingly, well, in 2020, but surprisingly in January of 2020, before everything. And I talk about that a bit in that video. What I forgot to mention in that video is that I have had quite a few panic attacks in the past. I haven't had one in ages. I think I haven't had one in like 3 years, but I would have them here and there as early as my early 20s. At that time, I didn't know what they were, but now I do. So I'm just gonna say a few things that I have as notes to myself about anxiety that help me, and then I'll tell you what I do when I'm having a panic attack that helps me, and then I'll tell you what my friend does when she's having a panic attack that helps her. That one will end on, and I haven't had a chance yet to try it, but it's a tool that a real therapist might give you, so it seems very valuable, and I know it helps her a lot. But first, just to chat a bit, so some notes I have, I'm looking at my computer here, some notes I have about anxiety that I've made to myself is, the heart is better when the body is tired, and by that I just mean it as a reminder to tap into my body. I can get really caught up here and just reminding to re-enter my body. I have a similar thing, different wording. If your head is not a good place to be, take a trip to your body. If my head is not feeling like a welcoming place because my thoughts are so wild, it helps to take a trip to my body. You know, just tapping into your body again, which you can do through meditation, exercise, any kind of mindfulness activity, eating mindfully, using scents to help you, lighting a candle, anything. I just need reminders to like re-enter my body. There's also this song that I only recently discovered called Territorial by Bottega, and there's a line in it that is, anxiety is energy retained in my body, but the part in my body you can't really hear, so when I listen to the song, the part that gets stuck in my head is just, anxiety is energy retained. And that again speaks to me in the same way that the other two do, which is like, return to your body, energy retained, not flushed or expended or exercised, is what makes me lose myself in my head. Okay, as for panic attacks, what my panic attacks look like from the outside is essentially hyperventilating. hyperventilating. They almost always happen when I'm alone. Sometimes one other person will be there, but pretty much when I'm alone, if one other person is there, it's my partner, and somehow I never let anyone else see. So, first of all, I try to breathe. It usually doesn't help because I have already lost control of my breath, and I do try to extend my breath, but I can't usually. Sometimes I'll also try to get a glass of water, take a sip of water, or someone will give me water, but I can't drink it because I'm hyperventilating and it doesn't help. Like, I can't do it. So what I have found works for me is giving myself a simple task, like so simple, something physical, tangible in the room, and then trying to do it. Something that makes me have to think a little bit, but can't really be failed. Yeah, it sounds strange and hard to find, but for example, like I was having a panic attack and there was bread, peanut butter, and like a butter knife on the table, and I was like, I wasn't even hungry, but I was like, Mauve, make yourself a PB&J kind of thing in my head. And so, as I'm having a hard time, I stood up and I made myself a sandwich, and it was hard. I was pretty clumsy and all of that, but it was just enough task that my brain could kind of calm down, and by the time it's done, whatever task I assign myself, I feel better. This may not work for other people. It sounds strange, but I'm just telling you what I do. If there's not bread and peanut butter around, as often there will probably not be, I've also been like, okay, there are windows, like open 3 windows, go open 3 windows, go turn on the lights, go turn on 3 light switches, like stuff like that. And it really helps me, just something physical, tangible, that has a clear start and stop, and that changes my situation slightly and occupies my brain just enough for me to get my breathing under control. That's what I do. Again, don't know that that will work for everyone, which is why we are going to end on a real technique that my friend gave to me, that was given to her by her therapist. So this is called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique for managing anxiety. Whenever you're anxious, however that manifests for you, it's a mindfulness technique where you, again, are re-entering your body. So, 5, acknowledge 5 things you can see. 4, acknowledge 4 things you can touch. 3, acknowledge 3 things you can hear. 2, acknowledge 2 things you can smell. 1, acknowledge 1 thing you can taste. So it'd be like 5 things I can see. I can see this ring light in front of me. I can see this microphone cover. I can see my computer. There's a piece of art here with a black dog and pink flowers, and I can see a door. 4 things you can touch. I can touch my hair, my shirt, I can touch my pants, and my earrings. 3, acknowledge 3 things you can hear. I can hear traffic. I can hear someone in the alley going through bins looking for cans, and I can hear my own voice. That seems like a cop-out. I can hear there's some distant music playing, like really, really distant. of still in this room, and I can smell this candle, but just barely. And then one thing I can taste, I had some pretzels before I came up here, and I think I can taste that I've had salt semi-recently. So that would be an example. You don't have to say it out loud. It's something you can do no matter where you are, in public or privately. So it's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. If you're struggling to remember it too, I think even thinking of it would help. But the things that you have to do the most, or that you should do the most, are the things most readily accessible, you know? Like, if it were like